It's Monday in America, which means that the day has been filled with absolute mayhem and fuckery. Why? Because 77 million people couldn't vote for the black woman, couldn't vote for the woman of color, couldn't vote for a woman, which I will get to at the end of today's show because I did my first hit, folks, on the new rebranded MSNBC.com. If you know, well, not .com, but if you know, MSNBC has been rebranded to MS Now. And I did my first hit with Ana Cabrera earlier this morning, where I talked about, I was asked about my thoughts on Michelle Obama's comments with regard to America being ready for a woman president. And we'll get down to that later on in the show. But like I said today on Democracy Ish, which is up now, if you guys have not seen it, we'll watch it after. But this motherfucking administration keeps you on your toes. Like, they don't care or have respect for anybody's goddamn time if you're breaking news at 10 p.m. on a Sunday. But we are going to get to that and so much more today on the Danielle Moodie Show. Dear friends, damnation, buckle up, because I have a feeling that this week may be the week that sends us all over a ledge. But let this show be your parachute, because we sure as hell are not crashing to the ground. All right, dear friends, welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show. Let's get into it. Grab your cocktails, your mocktails, your supportive pets and plants, because it's been a doozy. And I got to tell you, I just have a feeling something is stirring in my spirit that tells me that this week is going to be off the fucking chain. And it's because of shit like this. So right before we came on, Donald Trump was asked in the Oval Office whether or not he would sign an Epstein files bill if Congress passes it. And a federal judge said a, quote, disturbing pattern of, quote, missteps in the case against, and this has to do with Comey later, which we'll get to. But he says that he'll sign this bill, right? So Trump on Sunday called on Republicans to support the release of files related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, dramatically changing course on a flashpoint issue he has long opposed. Quote, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide, and it's time to move on from this Democratic hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party. Well, I have to say, if there's one thing that Donald Trump should be happy about right now, it is the fact that we're concentrated on the Epstein files and not the fucking shit show that he has done with our economy right ahead of the holiday season. But let us be clear about one thing. Anything that Donald Trump says, understand that there is subtext, right? And this is my breakdown, and other people are going to say the same thing. So just last week, Trump had called the efforts to release the files a hoax, saying Democrats were bringing them up to, quote, deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown. In the Post, Trump said that the Justice Department has already released listen to this, that the Justice Department has already released tens of thousands of pages of Epstein, and noted that his recent move directing the Justice Department to investigate Epstein's relationships with notable Democrats such as Clinton, Summers, and others. Trump followed a tranche of emails mentioning figures on both sides of the aisle, including himself. And then a spokesperson for Clinton said that none of this everything is much to do about nothing. I'm going to let you listen to this clip. of, Trump being asked whether or not, right, he would release the files, right? And then we'll talk about it on the other side.
On Truth Social last night, you urged House Republicans to vote in favor of this Epstein release bill they're going to vote on tomorrow. I just want to be super clear on your position. Do you want to see that pass the Senate? Would you sign that bill if it gets to your desk?
I do want to. Here's what I want. We have nothing to do with Epstein. The Democrats do. All of his friends were Democrats. You look at this Reid Hoffman, you look at Larry Summers, Bill Clinton, they went to his island all the time, and many others. They're all Democrats. All I want is for people to recognize the great job that I've done on pricing, on affordability, because we brought prices way down, but they're going way lower, on energy, on ending 8 wars, and another one coming pretty soon, I believe. We've done a great job. And I hate to see that deflect from the great job we've done. So I'm all for it. You know, we've already given 50,000 pages. You do know that. Unfortunately, like with the Kennedy situation, with the Martin Luther King situation, not to put Jeffrey Epstein in the same category, but no matter what we give, it's never enough. You know.
Okay, so you all paid attention to that. One, first of all, he sounds like trash. Okay, he sounds as if he has been gargling glass. So that's an aside. And somebody asked him, one of the reporters in the Oval Office had asked him about his voice and said, are you feeling okay? And he was just like, huh? What? Yeah, I'm fine. And he's like, oh, okay. Then I have a follow up. And he said, what? Polyps? I hope there are no polyps. I shit you. I swear to God. I have to laugh because otherwise, but it's just, anyway. So you listen to him say these things. I'm directing, right? I've said, yeah, the files should be released and they should be released. But, we've already released 50,000 documents. If Donald Trump is the president of the United States, no vote needs to take place in order for him to release those files. So there are multiple things that are going on here at the same time. One, he's a fucking liar. So we know that anything that he says, right? Like you gotta wade through it, right? In order to get to some little lick of truth. So here's the truth. Donald Trump has called the investigation a hoax. 1. 2, Donald Trump then told his attorney general, because she's not our attorney general, told his attorney general to open up an investigation, another investigation, reopen the Epstein investigation now, just looking into said Democrats, right? So what do we know that happens when an investigation is opened? Means that you're not going to do any more document dumps because guess what? You're in the midst of an investigation. And if anyone were to be brought up on charges or indicted, well, you can't possibly taint the opinion of the public with a treasure trove of what? Files. So he gets to look as if he's had a pivot and has had a change of heart and actually gives a shit about transparency and, helping the victims of pedophilia and sex trafficking. That's not it. Donald Trump wants the appearance of accountability without actually ever having to be held accountable, because what Pam Bondi is going to turn around and do is say, oh, well, we already have thousands of documents out and I'd love to help you out, but we're currently investigating those that were mentioned, Larry Summers and Bill Clinton, and they're going to try and make this all about Democrats, and which pedophilia isn't a partisan issue, by the way, nor should it be. I don't give a fuck who is in there. If you are in those files and you are attached to the rape of children, right, then you should be held accountable for those crimes and you should face, right, a judge and a jury. But what Donald Trump is trying to do is pull a null two-step. He knows that about 50 to 100 Republicans in the House are getting ready to disobey daddy and call for and vote for the release of the Epstein files. So in order for it also, this is number 3, for him to look like he still has control over MAGA, he has changed his tune and has said, yeah, Republicans should absolutely vote for the release of the Epstein files, which they were already going to do. It's either going to happen tomorrow or Wednesday. But again, you need to have the appearance that you still have control. So you're going to say, oh, yeah, well, I told them to go ahead and vote for the Epstein. So of course they're going to vote for the release of the Epstein files. You see what he's doing there? Also, again, knowing that he directed Pam Bondi to open up another investigation, which means that, again, she's not going to release whatever it is that they have because she's going to say there's a pending investigation that's taking place and we're going to get to the bottom of these Democrats and what they've been up to. You see the fucking two-step and lies that he's been doing. But if you just paid attention to mainstream corporate media, you would think that Donald Trump over the weekend found Jesus. Right? And that all of a sudden he has had like a change of heart, right? No, he has not. He has figured out a way to manipulate, once again, the situation and the media for it to seem as if there isn't a huge civil war that is happening inside of MAGA, right? Led by Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nick Fuentes, and others who are now jumping ship because they see, as we said earlier on Democracy-ish, which episode is up not live now, is they see where the wind is blowing. And they don't want to get caught up. Massie said, and I'm going to play this clip from earlier this morning because Massie said this, and I think that it's really important for folks to pay attention to what he was saying. If I can find it. Yes, hold 1 second because I thought that it was important. And let's see if I can find it. I don't know if I can. I don't know if this is it, but let's see.
Negotiate right now. By the way,
nope. Not Massie. I deleted so many things because if you were with me earlier today, my entire computer shut down and it was a full-blown disaster. And now I can't find it. But what Massie said and what I thought was incredibly important was that he said, look, the fact is, Donald Trump is not going to be president forever.
Her life could be in danger.
Nope, not this either. I apologize, guys. What he said is that Donald Trump, maybe he'll help you in 2026, right? Maybe for the midterms, but your vote on the release of these files is going to be around forever. And what it will show your constituents is that you voted to protect pedophiles. Do you want that? Because Donald Trump is a lame fucking duck. And you have to make a decision between your future, your career, right? And pledging allegiance to an alleged child rapist. Because that's the other thing too, folks. Because here's the thing. If you saw over the weekend as well, the New York Times, along with Fox, is trying to plant seeds, much in the same way that Megyn Kelly wanted to offer the fact that, oh, well, when it comes to pedophilia, isn't there a difference between sex with a 15-year-old versus a 5-year-old? You remember that clip that I played last week? That Megyn Kelly, actually, who still has a fucking job at Sirius, said that there was a difference. There actually isn't. And by the way, you don't have sex with a 15-year-old. You rape them because the age of consent, unless you're in Florida or other places, is 18 years old. What Fox tried to do was to start to use their little surveys where they're like, oh, women ages believe X. And now they have included in their surveys, in the polling that they're doing, where they say women ages 15 to 45. Since when did 15-year-olds become women? Because again, you are legally a child until you turn 18 years old. But Megyn Kelly wants you to believe that there is a big difference between the barely legal type and an 8-year-old. The fact that you are even trying to make those distinctions, you literally belong in hell. Okay? Like in hell, under hell. If there is a place under hell, that's where Megyn Kelly belongs. And anyone who would come out of their mouth and think that there is some type of distinction to be made when we are talking about the rape of children. The New York Times also wanted to say, oh, what we've learned recently with the release of the Epstein files is a long lost New York City. I'm sorry, are you doing culture coverage right now, New York Times? Like talking about the good old days of New York City in the late 80s and early 90s? Like, is that what you're doing, using the Epstein files as your fucking hook? When I tell you how little, like, you wonder how we get to this place. You wonder how we get to this place where the victims of Jeffrey Epstein have been trying across 5 different administrations to have their voices heard, right? To have those in power be held accountable. And they can't be heard, right? And they are invisibilized, or they are told that they are liars. And you wonder why this ring has been able to move for decades and accumulate billions of dollars, because no one gives a shit about young girls and nobody gives a shit about women. And that's the truth. So it isn't just Donald Trump, right? It is an entire network that protects wealthy, largely white, cis male predators. And it doesn't matter if they're in tech, right? If they're royalty, if they're politicians, if they're hedge fund guys. As Waj always says, there's a big old pedophilia club, and thank the gods that we are not in it. But it's the reason why in the year 2025, when people knew about Jeffrey Epstein, that they were still able to fucking party with him. Because, you know, we'll blame well, they look older than 15, but you know that they are not 18. And if you see the video, I just want to, again, you know, I'll remind you, because
I suffered so much pain.
So much pain.
So much pain.
I suffered so much pain. I was 14 years old.
I was 16 years old.
I was 16.
17.
14 years old.
This is me.
This was me.
This is me.
When I met Jeffrey Epstein.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
There are about 1,000 of us.
the video always glitches when I try and play it. But when you look at the pictures of themselves as girls, as children, that they are holding up to remind people, this is what a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old looks like. This is what I looked like when I met Jeffrey Epstein. They were children, babies, obviously look like babies to grown ass fucking men. But now corporate mainstream media is trying to now shift the goalposts and tell us that 15 is basically 18. 14 is basically 18. It's not. And we should not allow them to gaslight us into believing that it is. Meanwhile, again, Donald Trump, what did he say? He said, release the files because I want to concentrate on more important things, right? Like affordability and how good I'm doing for the economy. Lord, I want you to take a listen to Kevin Hassett, who, by the way, should just be fired because he is absolutely fucking terrible. Terrible on TV. He doesn't know what he's doing. And so when he's asked basic questions like, well, how are things going? Right? How are things going? Are prices going to be coming down? And then he wants to tell you that, oh yeah, prices are coming down, but they were never actually up. You're like, what are you talking about?
Claims that Thanksgiving costs are down 25%. I mean, does he know that's not true?
Well, if you look at Walmart and the few places that put out their prices of Thanksgiving baskets.
Wait a minute, I got to stop because the Walmart comparison's not a thing. I mean, Walmart had a Thanksgiving package last year. They've got a Thanksgiving package this year. The one this year contains much less than what the one last year took. So that's why the price is less. Look, we got a chart here. Last year, it was 21 total products. This year, it's 15. Total number of items in those products was 29% now. 29, now it's 22. There's more generic brand stuff. So, I mean, Thanksgiving, if you're going to the store to buy groceries for Thanksgiving, it's going to be more expensive this year.
I really don't understand where you're going in the sense that Joe Biden gave us 20%
He's not
inflation.
president. Donald Trump's president.
No, and you want us to fix the hole that Joe Biden dug right away.
Why does the president tell
the prices went up so much under Joe Biden, and inflation is way down. Inflation is about half what it was in December. This is something that's being fixed fast, and real incomes are up after dropping about 3,000 under Joe Biden. And so, sure, you can find a few things where the price is higher, but there's a whole bunch of stuff where the price is lower, like gasoline, like mortgage rates.
Get the Republican plan to
you understand that mortgage rates have gone way down, and it's much cheaper to buy a home now than it was.
The other thing that he's asked, so the tariffs have been removed from these items that we all buy at the grocery store. How soon do you expect the prices on those goods to go down? Hassett, well, the prices for those goods weren't necessarily going up just because of tariffs. So they might not go down? Hassett, well, the prices will go down because the tariffs have been taken off. Hassett, right. What? So you're trying your best to lie to all of us, to tell us that, oh, the prices are not up. Donald Trump brought the prices down. The prices are up because of tariffs. No, they're not. The tariffs were great. The tariffs aren't a consumer price. So if the prices are coming down, why are the prices coming down? Oh, because we're changing the tariffs. So you're rolling back in order to fix the problem that you created. You're rolling back the tariffs that created the problem that all the economists told you were going to create. But now you're going to roll back the tariffs that inflated the prices and tell us that the problem is fixed that you created. It's like a game of who's on first and what's on second, right? It is just circular fucking bullshit when you are listening to these people. And then it like you finish, and I have to say that as an interviewer, you have got, your head must hurt. Because there's no way that you're like, the tariffs made the prices higher. You're rolling back the tariffs to bring down the prices. No, we're not. What? But you are. Oh, yes, we are. But the prices, Biden, laptop, Clinton, like, you're just waiting for their fucking heads to explode because they quite literally make no sense. Like, they can't keep pace with the rate of their own lies. Like, and that's what you're seeing in real time when they can't keep pace. They don't, because you see, when you tell the truth, it's easier just to keep that train going. But when you've told so many lies, you have to keep track of the lies that you're telling so that you don't get yourself caught out. That's why it's always much easier just to tell the fucking truth. Needless to say. So Donald Trump, right, going back to the top, says he'll sign an Epstein files bill if it reaches his desk. And we know that Senate Republicans have no appetite for this whatsoever. And this is why, again, Donald Trump is out in the street yapping about his reversal, because he knows that it's not going to go anywhere. And Chris Coons lays it out very clearly on Morning Joe. And I want you to take a listen to what he says about why Donald Trump now is saying that he will he'll change his tune, right? That like, oh, don't worry about the files, because what Chris Coons is saying, and of course, folks, I deeply apologize. There are major glitches with my videos today, and videos that should be here are not here. I'm not quite sure why. But it's really frustrating. So my apologies to you. I'm trying to. Okay. Let's see if this works.
Plan in terms of getting the House passed resolution in front of the Senate. How soon will that happen? How soon will these Republicans get a chance to reverse their votes and try to clean up their act?
So this is going to be an interesting week. My gut hunch is that Attorney General Bondi, having just been ordered on social media by the president to open an investigation into a series of high-profile Democrats, will promptly say, oh, no, there's an ongoing investigation. We can't disclose any of this. And the president will back that up. But you are absolutely right. We should be going to the floor every day and doing unanimous consent requests that say we should see these files now. We owe it to the victims. We owe it to transparency. Trump ran on, I will release the Epstein files on day one, and has done everything possible, including hauling Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room for a closed-door muscle session. This is just a despicable act of betraying the victims of Epstein. It's long past time that we get transparency around this for the American people.
That's the scenario.
I mean, but that's the thing. We're not going to get transparency for the American people because we're relying on the biggest liars. The way that they lie at some point needs to be studied because it's sociopathic. It's just, it's devoid of reality at this point. But again, he said exactly what it is that I said at the top. You're not going to get these files. Maybe there will be another dump that comes from Jeffrey Epstein's estate, which is not what it is that the FBI has. The FBI has everything. But what we got last week was from Jeffrey Epstein's brother, who is releasing what he has, right? That has been subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee. And he is complying. But the fact is that what we want to see, we're not going to see. And my first initial thought last night when Donald Trump was on his broke down social media platform saying that, oh, he's reversing course, was like, oh, did they finish the redacting job? Because they've been at it since May, right? How many times has Donald Trump's name been listed? In the 23,000 files, according to NPR, in the 23,000 documents, Donald Trump's name was mentioned 1,000 times. But he wants us to believe that he has nothing to do with Epstein. Epstein only hung out with Democrats. Then what are all of these pictures with the two of you together? And is it true that you met your current wife on his plane called the Lolita jet? It's just lie after lie after lie after lie further proof. New York Times. As Trump looks for distraction on Epstein, Justice Department rushes to his aid. The department was deployed, in effect, as an arm of the president's rapid response operation to help him muscle through a damaging news cycle over Jeffrey Epstein, former and current officials say. Pam Bondi's prosecutorial speed is improving, at least from the perspective of the man holding a stopwatch, Donald Trump. Just 217 minutes elapsed between Trump's command on Friday morning that she investigate prominent Democrats like Bill Clinton, who were named in documents Congress obtained from Jeffrey Epstein's estate, and Bondi's announcement that she had referred the matter to the U.S. attorney in Manhattan. Earlier demands took days, sometimes weeks to fulfill. But now she's hopping to it. Bondi's statement was an unmistakable demonstration of Trump's near total success in subordinating the Justice Department's post-Watergate independence to his will. Friday was a milestone of sorts. The department was deployed, in effect, as an arm of the president's rapid response operation to help him muscle through this cycle. They go on to say, whether you are investigated or prosecuted, or whether you are pardoned or have your sentence commuted, depends on whether you are an enemy or friend of Donald Trump, said Mary McCord, who once oversaw the Justice Department's National Security Division and is now a professor at Georgetown Law. And that's what we know to be true. If you are friends with Donald Trump, even if you are a pedophile, you'll be transferred like Ghislaine Maxwell to minimum security. You'll get a support animal. You'll get people cleaning up after you. You'll have meals delivered in. You'll get private meetings that aren't on the record. You'll be treated, right, like the elite piece of shit you are. But if you are a person that had the audacity to challenge Donald Trump or to follow the law and the Constitution, oh, you're under investigation with speed, because Pam Bondi is doing her best to hold on to her job. And again, just as a reminder, because I think it's important for us not to get lost in the sensationalism of this case and actually remember the real people. And again, interview happened on CNN. Let's see, because Mercury is mercurating and retrograding today. Let's see if we can play this clip.
I started working with Donald Trump when I think you were 11.
Yes.
And do you remember what you thought of your dad's boss, Donald Trump, and what you thought of his job back then?
As I told Emily, we lived in a Trump-branded building. I remember seeing commercials for The Apprentice on TV, and I knew my dad was working for someone famous, but I think that's the extent of the realization at the time.
So it was cool. I mean, I guess at that time, it was cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But at some point, I think well before your dad got ensnared in all of this, your impression changed.
Yes.
And what was that? What happened?
There were a few instances that changed that impression, and they happened over the course of a few years as I got older and as I started to realize how Trump treated my father, one of which is in the book where my dad explains what happened at the golf course.
Let me read that.
Okay, sure.
Because, I mean, I think that this one is illustrative
yes.
of something. Basically, you were at President Trump's, well, he was just Donald Trump, his country club. And you were playing tennis and you came off the court. And here's how it was written in Vanity Fair. Somehow Trump's attention was diverted to another skirt walking off a tennis court. Quote, "Look at that piece of ass," Cohen recalls Trump saying as he whistled and pointed. Quote, "I would love some of that." It so happened that Trump was referring to Cohen's then 15-year-old daughter, Samantha. Do you remember that moment? Because it goes on to write that after that, you came over, he wanted you to give him a kiss, and he said, "When did you get such a great figure?"
So, as I told Emily, the story is a little bit less clear to me. I'm sure many women can relate. You become desensitized to men making these kinds of comments to you, and you allow them to go over your head and you kind of tune out the noise. But what stood out to me in that moment was he said to my dad, well, there's no way that she got her looks from you. Thank God you married a beautiful woman. And I was desensitized to men making creepy comments about me, but I was not desensitized to someone blatantly insulting and degrading my father in front of me, someone who I looked up to and loved very much. And that was very upsetting to me. And that made me think, okay, maybe Trump doesn't treat my father so well.
And I do.
If that, first off, Michael Cohen kept working for Donald Trump. Okay. And the way that I would, like, if that were my daughter and my boss looks at my 15-year-old daughter and in front of me says, look at that piece of ass, I'd like some of that. She's 15 and you keep fucking working for him? My God, money really does. Like, it takes everything, your soul, your integrity. This is your daughter. And you know that Michael Cohen knows exactly who the fuck Donald Trump is, exactly what he's been up to, exactly who is part of his cohort. Even if, I find it very difficult to give this man the benefit of the doubt, to give Michael Cohen the benefit of the doubt, but knowing all of those things, do you know what Donald Trump would have never had his eyes on, never been around? My fucking daughter or my wife. Ever. Not over for family events, not over on playing tennis, not any fucking where. Because you know that that man is a goddamn predator. But the money was so good and the parties must have been so great. And this is the thing. This is the thing that gets me. Because you see, in that PSA, that Epstein PSA, with the victims holding their pictures, all I think about is that this is somebody's baby. This is somebody's daughter. And some of these parents chose their proximity to wealth and power over their own goddamn daughters. They literally sold them so that they could be in Donald Trump's company, so that they could be at the country club. They sold them like it was a dowry, knowing exactly what they were selling them into. So to me, in a lot of ways as well, the parents should be prosecuted as well. Because again, the fuck kind of parent? Like, and I'm talking about the ones that know what's going on. There are some that legitimately do not. But there are others that knew, that were in Donald Trump's circle or wanted to be closer knit into his circle. And they sold their girls. And I'm telling you, folks, this is why I say this country, but this world gives very little care to girls and women, because this shit has been going on for centuries. This ain't new. It's been going on for centuries. The way that you sell your girls for your standing in society, the way that they are passed around and moved, it's not new. When they do it with the wealthy, right? That's how royalty works. When they do it in business, oh, of course, she would marry a man of stature. She comes from a good family. She's of good stock. While all of this is happening, while all of this continues to unfold, there is a bit of other news that is happening, which is we know again that Donald Trump has weaponized his Justice Department against his rivals. And now, in the Comey case, at least, judge says Justice Department may have committed misconduct in the Comey case. And we'll go into that. A federal magistrate judge said today, on Monday, that the criminal case against James B. Comey, the former FBI director, could be in trouble because of a series of apparent errors committed in front of the grand jury by Lindsay Halligan, the inexperienced prosecutor picked by Trump to oversee the matter. The remarkable rebuke of Halligan came in a 24-page ruling in which the magistrate judge, William E. Fitzpatrick, ordered her to give Mr. Comey's lawyers all of the grand jury materials she used to obtain the indictment and raise the question of whether, quote, government misconduct in the case might require dismissing the charges altogether. In his ruling, Judge Fitzpatrick said that when Ms. Halligan appeared by herself in front of the grand jury in September to seek an indictment accusing Comey of lying to and obstructing Congress in a 2020 testimony, she made at least two fundamentally and highly prejudicial misstatements of the law. He also pointed out that the grand jury materials he ordered her to turn over to him for his review this month appear to be incomplete and likely do not reflect the full proceedings. Also, it turns out that she may have been alone with the grand jury without a court reporter or a court stenographer. And I'm like, how the fuck does that happen? So we know, right, that Donald Trump fired other people, other attorneys, capable attorneys, for not bringing the charges against James Comey and also against Tish James in New York because there wasn't enough evidence to do so. So now the judge in the Comey case is saying, provide us with all the information that you acquired in order to bring these charges to begin with. And then she brings over her half-completed homework, and he's like, yeah, this case probably going to get dismissed because you're a fuck-up and unqualified to do the job. But, you know, she's in Donald Trump's camp, so guess she's pretty. So then we go back to see, like, how are the rest of the people in Donald Trump's camp doing? Not well. Here's Kevin Hassett again. And I want, you know, for those that are parents of kids that are in college right now, brace yourself for what this dum-dum said today. Because I got to tell you, it's like they just keep saying the quiet parts out loud. Like they just keep telling you all of the things that they shouldn't really be saying, but they clearly can't help themselves.
The report we got surprised 48 Bloomberg economists on the downside, and even had some sort of temporary bad news because there was a refinery that was shut down if you're looking at the top line number. I think that there have been mixed signals in the job market and really, really positive signals in the output markets. As you know, we've got GDP now running close to 4%. We've got productivity running up around 3%. And so I think that there could be a little bit of almost a quiet time in the labor market because firms are finding that AI is making their workers so productive that they don't necessarily have to hire the new kids out of college and so on. But because there's so much output growth and income growth, that's the kind of thing that, you know, a free market will work out relatively quickly as, you know, new ways to spend money emerge.
So just to reiterate what he just said, I think there could be a little bit of an almost quiet time in the labor market, meaning, translation, no one is hiring, because firms are finding out that AI is making their workers so productive that they don't necessarily have to hire the new kids out of college and so on. So that college that you're sending your children to, that is surely putting you in six figures worth of debt along with them, because college is just a giant Ponzi scheme these days, has basically told you that whatever entry level job that you think that those young kids are going to get after going into six figures worth of debt for 4 years isn't going to happen, because they're going to be replaced by AI. And he's just sitting there smirking and thinking that that's like a great thing. And we'll get into AI in a moment, because also things are not looking so good, right? There is an AI bubble that many people have been talking about, and it seems as if we may be heading towards the burst. But again, going back to Donald Trump and his inept administration, God bless independent media. God bless folks like ProPublica, because ProPublica, according to Jen Psaki, published quite a scoop about the Trump's Department Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, Ice Barbie, that in any other era would be career ending, says Jen Psaki. She has directed, get this, folks, more than 200 million taxpayer dollars into TV ads to promote her work at DHS since March. We've known that DHS skipped the normal competitive bidding process when giving out the contracts to make and air these ads. It turns out that a majority of that no bid contract money, 143 million taxpayer dollars, went to this mysterious LLC in Delaware, an LLC that was created just days before it got that no bid contract. Anyone want to follow the money all the way to Kristi Noem's own personal account? Anyone? Anyone? They are literally robbing the country blind. Like, it's not, I mean, this is, Waj refers to the Epstein files as the largest political cover-up of all time. This entire regime is the biggest fucking robbery of the American people we have ever seen. It is a smash and grab fucking job that these people are doing. Oh, and on top of that, I learned today that Kash Patel has directed the FBI to have a personal detail for his fucking girlfriend that is also costing us millions of dollars a day. Not to mention flying around on jets to go to WWF fucking wrestling matches and cage matches. By the time, I'm just telling you, when all of this shit, if it ever, let me not even pretend that we're ever going to see accountability, that any of these things are ever going to fully come out, and that anyone is going to be inside of a jail cell or pay any piper, right, for their wrongdoing. I don't think that it's going to happen. But the fact is, folks, it's like we're being robbed by the stupidest people on the planet in broad daylight. We're being led by the biggest idiots who also happen to be cruel. You couldn't write a worse or better ending for the American project than this. When they say you reap what you sow, like, my God, the American story. I didn't think it was going to end like this. I really did not. But here we are. And so, I love to go to our friend over at CNN, Harry Enton, who loves to bring us the new poll numbers. And this time, we're looking at the Latino poll numbers and where they are. And by the way, there was a big story earlier today out of North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, where in fact restaurants and shops have been shut down on the main streets and in different places. Why? Because of the ICE raids that are happening and the people that are being picked up. And so this contributes, of course, to Harry Enton and his roundup of where this administration finds itself, where Donald Trump finds himself right now. And it's not in a good place.
What are we seeing? One of the big shifts in 2024 from 2020 was that shift towards Donald Trump, right? Immigration played a key role in that. I want to start off with Latinos on Trump and immigration. Back a year ago, what did we see on the issue of immigration? Latino voters trusted Kamala Harris more than Donald Trump, but by just 2 points. 1, 2. Look now at Donald Trump's net approval rating on immigration among Latinos. He is 38 points underwater. That is a 36-point shift, essentially, from where we were a year ago on immigration. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are basically tied on the issue of immigration. And now on the issue of immigration, Latinos despise, hate Donald Trump. 38 points underwater. In their mind, he is doing something absolutely wrong when it comes to immigration.
What about the Latino vote overall?
What about the Latino vote overall? All right, how do Latinos feel about Donald Trump overall? Let's take a look here. This, I think, sort of gives the game away.
Goodness.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, that is the phrase of the day. Trump's net approval rating among Latinos. In early February, again, he was just 2 points underwater. Look at where he is now. Late October, minus 34 points. 34 points underwater. A shift to 32 points over the course of this year. I should point out this is the CBS News YouGov poll, but I was looking at the Averager polls. I was looking at our own poll. Very similar shift. 20, 25, 30-point shifts on the net approval rating away from Donald Trump among Latinos overall. Again, whatever Donald Trump is doing in office, in the minds of Latinos, it is not working. They have turned against him in massive, massive numbers.
I was in New Jersey a couple weeks ago on election night there. People were watching certain counties with high Latino populations very closely. What did we learn?
Yeah, what did we learn from the 2025 elections? I took the highest Latino percentage area in both New Jersey and Virginia. New Jersey, it was Union City. Look at this, 2024 president, 2025 governorship. There was a 52... I'm laughing because you never see any numbers like this. A 52-point shift towards Mikey Sherrill from how Kamala Harris did on the margin. Mikey Sherrill ran away with this. Kamala Harris did win that vote, but by a small margin. Mikey Sherrill did 52 points better. How about in Virginia, Manassas Park? Look at that. A 22-point shift towards Abigail Spanberger from how Kamala Harris did back in 2024. We saw huge Latino shifts in both New Jersey and Virginia. The idea of what happens to Donald Trump won't impact down ballot. If you're a Republican, you believe that, that is fantasy land. What is happening to Donald Trump absolutely impacted what happened down ballot. Part of it is turnout, but part of it is persuasion. Latinos running away from Republicans, running to the Democrats, a big reversion of the mean. Latinos back in the Democratic camp in 2025 in a way they simply put we're not in 2024, and it's because of Donald John Trump.
Look, and a lot can change between now and next November, the 2026, but if you start sort of extrapolating this and overlaying it on places like Texas.
Yes, we're going to be having lots of discussion about Texas. That redistricting may not work out the way that a lot of Texas Republicans and Donald Trump hope it.
Because here's the thing. First off, why the fuck were you voting for Donald Trump and you were Latino? And I could say the same thing for the black folks that voted for Donald Trump. And here is the funny part, and not funny, haha, is that Latinos who voted for Donald Trump and wore those t-shirts and went to his rallies and hung up those signs and all of those things, they said, Donald Trump said that he was going after the criminals, right? I came here legally. My family came here the right way. Right? It never occurred to them that the fucking racist that thinks that every person with brown skin and an accent is fucking Mexican, that has no, right, differentiation of where people are from, or actually where he can point out varied Spanish-speaking countries on the map, that he would not create policies that would have their asses deported, harassed, hemmed up, thrown in detention because of the fact that they just look that they don't belong. Oh, it never occurred to them. So yes, I'm with all of you in the chat that are just like, okay, well, you've reached the find out part of the fuck around. But what was very interesting to me is what Harry Enton said at the end of that segment, which is that, you know, the antics, the gerrymandering antics that the Republicans are playing all over the country, but particularly down in Texas, which is what set off this domino effect of gerrymandering that we are seeing across the country at the behest of Donald Trump, is that it may not work to their benefit because so many people are hurting. And these quote unquote Latinos that are Republicans, well, Donald Trump is now underwater with them in ways that no pollster has seen before. And if you think that that's not going to play out, like, you can gerrymander, sure, you can steal, but let us also remember what Obama said. Make the wins so big that they can't steal it. I don't think Donald Trump gets Latinos back. I don't think that he gets the gains that he made with specific quote unquote minority groups. I don't think that he gets them back. I think that, and again, Donald Trump is not on the ballot in 2026, but his fucking policies are. And the people that supported those policies are on the ballot. That's why they're rushing. They're rushing to do the gerrymandering. That's why they're preying on the decision that the Supreme Court comes out with in June that will finally gut what's left of the Voting Rights Act. But I'm telling you, I believe that the taste that Donald Trump is leaving in these people's mouths, I don't think that it goes away. That's just me. We will see. But as I round up today, I want to close out. I have two more stories, and one of them is this, which is AI. Okay. So earlier, Kevin Hassett, the idiot, was saying that, oh, well, jobs, I don't know. I don't think that your young kids that are coming out of college that need jobs are going to get them because AI is replacing everything. And, you know, we're already seeing the effects of how people mass layoffs, whether it be at UPS, Amazon, Microsoft, like various companies across industries are laying off everyone. And they're particularly laying off entry level and mid level, right? Where they have decided that they are using AI. But take a look at this. SoftBank, right, which was one of the biggest holders of stock, SoftBank's $5.8 billion NVIDIA stake sale stirs fresh AI bubble fears. So this was last week. SoftBank Group's $5.8 billion sale of its NVIDIA stake jolted stock markets, and this was last Tuesday, stoking fears that the frenzy around artificial intelligence, which there is indeed a frenzy, may have peaked, especially after recent warnings from Wall Street bank chiefs and a famed short seller. In its quarterly results, the Japanese tech investor said it had sold all the listen to this, all the 32.1 million NVIDIA shares it held in October to bankroll Masayoshi Son's sweeping AI push built around his all-in bet on ChatGPT creator OpenAI. It gets better. Peter Thiel's fund, right? Whose daddy? JD Vance's daddy. Peter Thiel's fund offloaded NVIDIA's stake in the third quarter, filing shows. Tech billionaire Peter Thiel's hedge fund has sold off its entire stake in NVIDIA during the third quarter, a regulatory filing showed, intensifying worries of an artificial intelligence bubble. The fund, Thiel Macro, sold around 537,742 shares in the AI chip frontrunner in the quarter. The filing showed on Friday. The stake would have been worth around $100 million as of the company's closing price on September 30th. Thiel's sell-off, coupled with SoftBank's sell-off, right, last week, has fueled Wall Street's angst that the frenzy driving soaring tech valuations may have peaked, putting it at risk of trillions of dollars committed to AI advancement. Investors and analysts will be looking to NVIDIA's third quarter results on Wednesday to dispel worries of a bubble, as the world's most valuable company is considered a bellwether for AI demand due to its coveted chips being used in massive data centers and servers. Thiel Foundation did not immediately respond to a router's request for comment. This is the thing. Everyone has been hedging their bets on AI. They're ruining our environment to do it, because in a report that I did a couple of months ago, I said that all of the data centers that are going up, they're going up in the United States in particular, in rural areas that have the landmass for them. But they're also draining the fresh water supply in those areas that are no longer going to communities. They're going to cool these data centers. And before anybody says, well, oh, at least they're creating jobs. No, they're not. These are literally people-less data centers, right? It's like the robots are running the data center. So they're not creating jobs. They're taking up land. They're polluting, right? Or taking away the fresh water, as if water already isn't an issue, right? Folks, on top of which, this regime, by the way, I believe committed billions of our tax dollars into the AI race. I believe that this bubble is going to be like the dot-com bubble of the early aughts. And it's going to have ripple effects all across the country. So the last thing I'll say before I get out of here today is what I said at the top. I did a hit on TV this morning on MS Now, which is formerly known as MSNBC, where I went on because Michelle Obama has been in the news, as she has been on a media junket promoting her new book, The Look, which, by the way, if you have not seen the book in person, it is absolutely beautiful. And it is not just her looks from when she was in the White House, but it's her looks from the White House, after the White House, and then all of these beautiful stories. But it's laid out. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous coffee table book. Nonetheless, I was asked to come on because what Michelle Obama said most recently when she was here in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Academy of Music for her interview done by actress Tracee Ellis Ross, is that she said that America is not at all ready for a woman president, right? And that she's like, you all need to stop lying to each other and to yourselves in thinking that America is ready. And what I said is that America needs to stop doing everything except facing the mirror and realizing that this country is founded on deep-seated racism and misogyny. And until we decide to directly face that, we're actually never, ever going to have a woman president, right? And so if I can, if Mercury allows me to, I will play this quick clip for those of you who might have missed it.
There have been huge strides, but still no woman elected president of the U.S. Danielle, Michelle Obama's perception is actually backed up by numbers. 4 in 10 Americans say they know someone who would not vote for a woman president, according to American University. Why? Why do you think that is? And where do we go from here?
I mean, I think that we have to understand that we have deep-seated misogyny inside of this country, right? That there are things that we have seen, whether it was in the 2016 election, 2024, that America does not see women in roles of power and leadership. I mean, they elected Donald Trump twice, which shows you that against very qualified, capable women, Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris, America chose Donald Trump. And so if we don't deal with the deep-seated misogyny that this country, frankly, was built on, including racism, those are the two things that Kamala Harris had to overcome in 107 days. And so those are real issues that we actually have to deal with and not just pretend they don't exist.
Because here's my thing. That's what America does best, is live in the land of make-believe. Pretend that all you have to do is, pull yourself up from your bootstraps. All you have to do is work hard, and you too can be an Elon Musk or a Bill Gates. That all you have to do is just put in the extra energy and all things will fall at your feet. That is a fucking lie. And it is the biggest lie that America has sold us, right? That, we just need to look past who these candidates are and just go for the person that is most qualified. Are you telling me that's what America did in 2016 and 2024? That we went for the most qualified fucking person? Given everything that we know, the only reason Donald Trump is president of the United States is because he is white, he is a man, and he is wealthy. That's it. Right? America had too much difference with Barack Obama. They couldn't possibly stomach a Hillary Clinton. Oh, Hillary Clinton wasn't likable. Oh, because Donald Trump, you want to have him over for dinner? Right? Because that's the man that makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel safe? Think about the bullshit ways that America has contorted itself into trying to rationalize the decision that millions of Americans made when faced with two exceedingly qualified and capable women. So I'm not going to go on TV and say, oh yeah, Michelle Obama, no, she's wrong. Women just need to keep running. It's like, no, maybe we will actually want to address the fact that this country hates women. Case in point, how over decades, girls could be trafficked by some of the most wealthy, well-known, and powerful men, and no one give a fuck, even when that information was brought to their feet. And if you think that these things are not all connected, they are. And what it shows you is how little this country thinks about girls and women. And to boot, the other piece of that clip, right, that I didn't have, was the fact that where America is actually trending is backwards. We are literally regressing and have been regressing in our feelings about women and girls and leadership and power backwards. And why is that? Because over the last 10 years, it has been the manosphere that has been dictating the course of progress in this country. What is Donald Trump doing? He's erasing gender studies. He's erasing racial justice and race studies. He has fired every capable woman and person of color inside of government, career officials, and the private sector has followed suit. What trends now on TikTok? Hashtag trad wives. What are trad wives? Oh, showcasing the traditional values in the traditional households, right? All by selling you this fantasy of, my husband allows me to be steeped in my femininity while I pop out 5 kids and, make fucking macaroni and cheese from scratch, which begins with me milking my fucking cow. By the way, those little TikTokers, right? The little trad wife TikTokers in the manosphere, bought and paid for by Russia to spread disinformation. And it's working because, as Ana Cabrera noted in her coverage, the polls, the numbers, the feelings, and the sentiments about women in leadership are now trending backwards for the first time in decades. So again, if you think that all of these things, they're just, they're siloed stories, they're siloed issues. No, they are not. They were all connected to a larger strategy to erase and silence and oppress women and people of color. That's the goal. That is their white nationalist fantasy. It is the Handmaid's Tale on steroids. That's what they want. And right now, it's working. So for those of you that are either caregivers of young children, girls and boys that are teachers, right, that are parents, you all need to step up and be teaching them the truth, because they are not getting it in their K through 12 education anymore. They are being indoctrinated online to believe that women are beneath men, right? Like, these are the video games are then supplementing what was once being ripped apart in schools because you were given proper information. All of that, this regime has undone. So if you are a parent, if you are a teacher, your work in raising your children, your work in teaching young people is more important now than it's ever been. All right, dear friends, that is it for me today on this supersized edition of the Danielle Moodie Show. Before I get out of here, I want to once again say this is independent media. I do not take corporate money. I am people powered, which means that every single dollar that you all provide is what allows me to deliver you the kind of content that you deserve with the integrity and passion that you deserve. So I have opened up memberships on this channel right here. And if you do have the ability, but I just want to say, caveat asterisk, if you do not have the resources, we are living in very difficult financial times. Just know you will never miss any of my content because it does not go behind a paywall. But if you have the ability to contribute, whether it be in a super sticker or a super thanks, or to become a member of this channel, there are 2 tiers, or to become a paid subscriber on the Damn Digest, please do consider doing so. Otherwise, folks, just like, comment, and subscribe, because even that act goes a long way to getting this channel, this show, and as many feeds as possible. But I want to thank our amazing moderator who not only donates her cash, but also is gifting memberships to folks here. Susan, thank you so much. Amanda, appreciate your $5. Sharice, thank you so much for the $4.99. Jan Goodwin, thank you so much for the $3. Susan, again, appreciate you. JB, $2, again with another $2. Again, every single dollar counts. Pass the Pods became gifted a membership and is also a member. Appreciate you so much. And another membership gifted. $1.99. Shay, thank you so much. Tina, appreciate you. Henry, thank you so much. PJ, always coming in big. Thank you so much for the $49.99. And Kristen, $5. Appreciate you all so very much. I cannot tell you how much I enjoy this community, how much you all fill me up. Particularly on days when I am feeling low and empty. So thank you to Damnation. You all are incredible. I will be back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. So do make sure to tune in then. And we will, because I was couldn't do it last week, birthday week, and I was super busy, but we will have Town Hall Tuesday tomorrow. So do come with your questions. And Town Hall Tuesday will kick off after the show. Michael, thank you so much for your $9.99. Appreciate you. All right, y'all. Power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane. And in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. I will see you back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Be well.